Many Americans believe leaving potatoes on the kitchen counter is the best way to store them, but in reality, this can make them spoil twice as fast. In today's video, we are going to uncover the most common mistakes people make when storing potatoes. And more importantly, I will show you simple yet highly effective ways to keep them fresh, free from sprouts, and full of flavor for weeks. If you have ever had to throw away potatoes because they became soft, sprouted, or turned bad, these tips will save you money, time, and even your next meal. Have you ever heard of storing potatoes together with an apple? It's a tip that's been floating around for a long time. In fact, you might have already seen it in a magazine, on social media, or even heard it from a friend. But here's the thing: a lot of people know about this method, yet they don't fully understand why it works or how to do it the right way. Today, we're going to break it down step by step so you can make the most of it and actually see a difference in how long your potatoes last. The first step is sorting. When you bring your potatoes home, take a moment to inspect them one by one. Look for any that feel soft, have sprouts, or show green patches on the skin. Those green spots are a sign of solanine, a natural toxin that forms when potatoes are exposed to light. Not only can solanine give potatoes a bitter taste, but in large amounts it can cause stomach discomfort. Damaged or spoiled potatoes also release more moisture and gases, which can cause healthy ones to go bad much faster. So set those aside and only store firm, smooth, healthy potatoes. Next, prepare a clean, dry cardboard box. Cardboard is ideal because it's breathable, it blocks light while still allowing air to circulate, preventing the potatoes from sweating and creating mold. Plastic bins or bags can trap moisture, which speeds up spoilage, so cardboard is the better choice. Place the potatoes inside the box in layers, keeping them loosely arranged rather than piled too high. Too much weight can bruise the ones at the bottom, and bruised potatoes tend to decay more quickly. Now, here's the step that gets all the attention: adding an apple. Choose one that's fresh, firm, and free from bruises or rot. Just one is enough for a typical box of potatoes. Place it directly among the potatoes without wrapping it. You don't need to separate it in a bag or container. So why does this help? Apples naturally release a gas called ethylene as they ripen. Ethylene is a plant hormone that signals fruits and vegetables to begin or speed up the ripening process. In some cases, like with bananas, this can be bad news because it makes them turn brown faster. But with potatoes, it works differently. The ethylene gas from the apple interferes with the potato's natural tendency to sprout. Sprouting happens when the potato starts preparing to grow into a new plant. Ethylene slows that biological trigger, meaning your potatoes stay sprout-free for longer. There is also a second benefit. In a closed environment, potatoes release moisture, and over time, this can create a slightly humid atmosphere that encourages sprouts and spoilage. The apple acts almost like a gas balancer, introducing ethylene into that space and subtly altering the environment so sprouting is less likely. It's not magic, and it won't keep bad potatoes from going bad, but when combined with proper sorting and storage conditions, it can extend freshness by days or even weeks. Once you've added the apple, place the box in a spot that stays cool, dry, and away from sunlight. A basement pantry, a dark cupboard, or a cool closet works well. Avoid spots near ovens, dishwashers, or heaters. All of these can produce heat that shortens the life of your potatoes. Sunlight is also a problem because it can turn them green and trigger solanine production. So yes, this method isn't exactly a secret anymore, but here's the reality. Knowing a trick and using it correctly are two very different things. Many people toss an apple into a bag of unsorted potatoes sitting in a warm kitchen and wonder why it didn't work. If you take the time to sort your potatoes, use the right container, and store them in the right environment, this little apple can actually make a noticeable difference. And if it means you get to enjoy smooth, firm, sprout-free potatoes for longer, it's worth the few extra minutes. When you bring potatoes home, never wash them before storing. Washing might seem like a good way to clean off dirt, but moisture left on the surface can speed up spoilage and cause the potatoes to rot much faster. Instead, simply brush off any loose soil with a dry cloth or your hands. Another common mistake is keeping potatoes in plastic bags. Plastic traps moisture and heat, creating the perfect environment for mold and sprouting. A much better option is to use a mesh bag. Mesh allows air to circulate around the potatoes, keeping them dry and cool, which helps them last longer. Once you have your mesh bag ready, place your potatoes inside. Have you ever tried storing potatoes in a mesh bag before? If so, I would love to hear about your experience and tips in the comments. Finally, be sure to keep your potatoes away from direct sunlight. Sunlight can turn the skin green, and that green color is a sign of solanine, a natural toxin that can cause a bitter taste and even lead to stomach discomfort if eaten in large amounts. A cool, dark, and well-ventilated space is the best place to keep your potatoes safe, fresh, and ready for your next meal. A small but important tip: do not store potatoes next to onions. It might seem convenient since both are kitchen staples, but they actually do not get along well in storage. Onions naturally release gases and moisture, and these can cause potatoes to sprout and spoil much faster. To keep both fresh for as long as possible, store them in separate areas, each in its own ideal conditions. For this final method, start by getting a large paper bag big enough to hold all of your potatoes. Then, prepare a smaller paper bag and add 2 tablespoons of baking soda inside. Use a toothpick or a small pin to poke a few tiny holes in the smaller bag. This allows it to work effectively while keeping the baking soda from touching the potatoes directly. Place this smaller bag in the corner or bottom of your large paper bag. Then, add your potatoes, arranging them so they are not piled too high. Overstacking can bruise the ones at the bottom, and bruised potatoes don't last long. The small bag of baking soda acts like a natural moisture absorber. It helps keep the inside of the bag dry, reducing the chance of mold or early sprouting. Once your potatoes are inside, fold the top of the paper bag down loosely so it stays slightly open. This allows air to circulate and prevents trapped humidity, which can speed up spoilage. Finally, store the bag in a cool, dark, and dry location, away from heat sources, sunlight, or damp areas. When done correctly, this method can keep your potatoes fresh for up to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the variety and storage conditions. And there you have it, 3 simple but effective ways to keep your potatoes fresh, flavorful, and ready for your next meal. Have you tried any of these methods before? Or do you have your own favorite way to store potatoes? I'd love to hear your tips and experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss more kitchen tips like this. Your support really helps the channel grow and lets me keep bringing you practical, easy-to-follow ideas for your home. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.